Welcome back, everybody, to another thrill packed, fun, and exciting edition of Deep Recruiting. We're going to focus today on some persuasion techniques. And I want to make sure I mention if you've got questions, if there are issues you want to get resolved, questions you have about recruiting, objections you're getting that you don't know how to overcome, email us at deeprecruiting@teamgtn.com and we will address it live the next Monday. And the more you challenge me, the more I'm going to be excited. Always make sure you like, comment, and if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you give us a rating. It's going to help us grow this podcast. We want to get up to over 1,000 viewers a week so that we can continue bringing this news and talent and skills to you. Now, Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, think of what you may have as politics, but he understands persuasion. And shortly after Donald Trump's victory in 2016, again, you got to set your politics aside, he did a deep dive into persuasion techniques that, frankly, Trump went into and used to actually win. I think these are worth reviewing and looking at these persuasion techniques as professional recruiters, as professional salespeople, to see what we can pull out of this for our own usage. Now, Scott Adams, I'm going to be reading a lot of actual verbatim quotes from a podcast he did. He was a guest on The Art of Charm. Again, this goes way, way, way back, 8, 9 years. So it's still relevant today, and you're going to want to pay attention to this one. There's a lot of information here. Depending on how far we get, we may break this up into 2 different segments. So, and this is a quote. If you were to meet somebody for the first time, whatever you say first ends up sort of sticking in their mind as their first image of you. So one of the best things you can say is, hey, how are you doing? Then as soon as you have something that takes them to, as soon as you can ask something that takes them to a visual place, like, have you had any good vacations this year? Do you have a good day at the beach? Did you have a good day at the beach? Have you been to any tropical islands? As soon as you can work that into your conversation, their mind goes to their own memory of their best vacation, tropical paradise, and just puts them in this warm mood. And then you're standing there. The association happens. And people have a hard time shaking a first impression. So that lasts longer than it should. And we are using their own associations and connecting it to ourselves. So that's the end of the quote. If you want to take something away from this, as soon as you can make something visual in your conversation with your prospect, you become the king of senses. Instead of giving boring facts, you want to paint an emotional picture. And if you've been listening to me, you know that I'm a big believer in using emotion to actually sell your product or service. And I quote, one of the tricks of persuasion is to directionally tell somebody to imagine a certain thing, but you don't want to overspecify. As soon as you overspecify, you run the risk of it conflicting with their actual memory. People think, oh, that wasn't what I was seeing. Or I don't have a memory of that exactly. But if you say, imagine you're in nature or you're in the forest, keeping it generalized, people see their own forest and that makes them happy. That's the end of the quote. So you have to be careful about it. You need to bound it intelligently so that then when they fill it in, it still works for you. You will have more credibility when you change. You will have more credibility when you charge people for what you do than when you give it away for free. Once your prospect has given you credibility, you're a much better persuader. When someone challenges you with facts, they set a trap for you. The best thing you can do is flip the conversation over to emotion and tie those emotions to a particular person or event that your prospect has strong feelings about. Remember, emotion sells far better than facts. When you can get people on your side emotionally, you'll beat the logical argument more often than not. People will remember the emotional resonance you create versus the facts of the argument if it's something they care a lot about. If the foundation for emotional resonance existed in the first place, facts without being tied to a person, event, or place are not really memorable. The emotional resonance you bring up doesn't even need to be directly related to the facts being presented. If you do it in a funny way, it's even better. Again, I want to remind you, I'm reading key quotes out of his guest as a guest on the podcast of The Art of Charm. As soon as you start explaining, somebody immediately says, "Ah, you're backpedaling. You can't win." I'm not backpedaling. I'm just explaining what you got wrong. So instead of saying, "I check your facts," it just ends the conversation just so perfectly. Don't just pace body language, but pace their emotional state. How to tell when someone's lying to you. The normal innocent person just goes, "I don't care. Hang them, shoot them. I don't give a crap," because it has nothing to do with them and they know it. So their emotional reaction is total indifference or super harsh punishment because they're not that kind of person. He talked about the copy machine effect, which is referring to Robert Cialdini's book, Influence, in which Cialdini talks about when you use the word because it almost doesn't matter what you say after because people register it as a reason. And if you had a reason, well, I guess I'll give you what you want. You had a reason. So, yes, I actually have been using nonsense reasons because I talk about that effect in my blog. This is Scott Adams. I've been using nonsense reason because I talk about that effect in my blog so that people get there and know exactly what I'm doing. So he's being honest, he's being open and upfront about it, but he's using nonsense reasoning to make his point. Back to Scott Adams. So it's both funny to them because they see it in context, but it also works. People have been telling me that, darn it, that actually worked. I bought your book because of that. So I tested the copy machine effect, and it's disturbing how effective it really is. Let me get back to my point here. I lost my point. So I tested the copy machine effect, and it's disturbing how effective this thing really is. I did it in the exact same context. Well, sounds copy machine. I went to Chipotle, which is the modern day coffee shop, Kinko's, whatever. Hi, can I cut in front of you because I have a scooter? I literally just had a Manly Razor scooter with me, and people say, "Oh, sure." And very few people go, "Why would that affect the need for you to get them?" I think one person went, "What does that scooter have to do with it?" And this is me speaking. So, what he's basically saying here is you can cut in line by giving a nonsense reason. It doesn't matter what the reason is. I could go, "Hey, can I cut in line because I'm bald?" And the weird thing is, most people are going to actually let you cut in line. I mean, what would having a shaved head have to do with anything? But people will actually do it. You got to try it. Back to Scott. One person went, "What does a scooter have to do anything with it?" And I just went, "I'm just kidding." And then he went, "I'm trying to figure out. You can get ahead of me. I just wondered why the scooter has anything to do with it." So it still works. And this is back to me. So even though he was challenged, even though he was asked to give a reason why that scooter made any difference whatsoever, he said it doesn't. The person in line still gave it to him. That's how powerful this stuff really is. Back to Scott. I picked dumber and dumber reasons that were more arbitrary. And I even tested not picking a reason until it came out of my mouth, which forces ridiculous things to come to the surface. One of the ways that I used that even before I'd read about it in the book, is you always have this awkward situation about who picks up the check. Especially if you're a guy, there's a little bit more social pressure. And so I had these situations where you go to dinner and you're thinking, Okay, in this situation, it's sort of a tie. I could pick up the check, the other person could. Sometimes you want to be the one who picks it up because it's better to be the one who does than the one who didn't. If it's sort of a tie and you just feel a little better, and here's the way you win with the tie. I will come up with a fake excuse because before dinner, it'll be something like this: I'll pay because you drove, or I'll pay because it's your birthday, or I'll pay because you had a bad day. I'll pay because you had a success of that contract that we were just talking about. It doesn't matter what you say after the word because, because people go, oh, thank you, and they'll put their wallet away. But if you don't say that, if you don't say because, if you say, let me get it, you'll be there all day arguing about it. The only thing that wouldn't work would probably be some sort of negative connotation, like, I'll pay because I heard your business is doing terribly. I'll pay because I heard your book is not doing well. I heard here you're a cheap blank. Nobody likes you. I love you. I'll pay for this one. You get the next one because oftentimes it's somebody that maybe you're not going to see for a long time. You're not going to remember this, and nor should you try. Remember when I paid last time and you said you'd get the next one? You're up, buddy. But I do. I love the copy machine effect. The because technique, if we can coin that, he says, it's so representative of what our minds do, which is just kind of accept any reason given to justify the previous request. And this is almost universally applicable. Now, I'm going to stop it here because we're already at 12 minutes. There's actually more to go here I didn't get to, but I really want to reemphasize this. You don't really need a valid reason. All you got to do is say the word because, and you'll probably get what you want. So I've got a homework assignment for each of you. I want each of you to go out and try this. I want you to try it on your sales calls. I want you to try it on your recruiting calls, in your interviews, in line with your friends, with your spouse, your significant other, your parents, your siblings. I want you to give it a go. See if it works. Practice this. Put it to use because that's what training is all about. All the training in the world isn't going to do you any good unless you actually practice these techniques. So your homework assignment is to actually put this into practice, see what results you get. And I'd love to hear the results you get. I'd love to hear the story you get using these techniques that Scott Adams has talked about. This has been Deep Recruiting. Email us at deeprecruiting@teamgtn. Give us a like, give us a comment, give us a share, give us a review. We want it all because we're growing this to 1,000 views. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be here next week at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time with more of Scott Adams' Persuasion. Have a great week, everybody, and let's make some money, shall we?